Alrighty, it's 1:03 over here, Eastern Standard Time. It could be 10:03 if you're in the Pacific time zone, but let's get going here. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We appreciate it. Of course, we are going to be talking about a wonderful subject that is on top of everybody's minds today. Welcome to the webinar, Add to Your Existing Services and Revenue with a New Vertical, Parking Management. Now, before we begin, we obviously have to go through some housekeeping notes. And if my wife heard me say anything about housekeeping related, she'd be super proud of me. So there we go. Just so you know, the session is being recorded and it will be made available to you after the session via email, as well as it being available on our websites, respective websites. You should be in listen only mode at this time. You will be able to ask questions. We ask you to go ahead, if you see on your little, on the menu bar there, there's a Q&A icon. Please do submit all your questions through there, because that is what we will be looking at as we have a Q&A session set up for the end of today's webinar at this time. So sit back, enjoy, and we're ready to go. Alrighty, so first of all, I'd like to introduce our speakers for today's session. We're super glad to have them, some esteemed professionals from the security space. Happy to have them join us today. One of our individuals, one of the panelists that was supposed to be with us, Reggie Brewster, unfortunately had an urgent matter that he had to take care of. So he won't be able to join us today, but that's okay. We've got lots of content still to fill with Denis and Phillip over here. So I'm Brian Strasser, Senior Director of Partnerships here at TrackTik. And we are co-hosting today with Smart Parking. And with us today is Denis Condie, who's the founder and CEO of Smart Parking Apps. And we are also joined today by Phillip Ortega, who is the operations manager at Western Regional Security. So we're super excited to have this great panel with us today to be able to have conversations around parking management and around some great opportunities for you to be able to grow and scale your business as such. Now, of course, thank you all for joining today. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you to our panelists. And let's take a look at what we're going to be covering off today. So we're going to be going through a little bit of an overview just in terms of where we are today in the market and where parking is going to kind of fit in. We'll obviously talk about the pain points around parking management, ways to generate revenue, new business opportunities through this service that you can and hopefully we'll be offering moving forward. Obviously how it relates to customer retention as well as employee retention on top of that too. And we'll also mention that we're going to be at a trade show, both Smart Parking and TrackTik at the end of this month. We'll go into just a little tidbits on that. And then obviously we're going to open it up to a Q&A at the end. Now, as we know, the security industry obviously has its challenges, just like every industry has its challenges, whether it be labor shortages, whether it be access to data, whether it be client retention, growing your business, scaling your business, anything along those lines. So what we're trying to take a look at today is providing you with an opportunity to be able to learn about a new way, new means to be able to scale your business, get your clients stickier, right? Engage with them, as like we say, try to work with the low-hanging fruit that's available in your portfolio currently. So by the end of the session today, we're hopefully going to have you, be more familiar with smart parking, with parking management as a whole, the opportunity that's there, the way to be able to make your clients stickier in terms of the services that you're offering, and obviously provide you with a new revenue stream, a profitable revenue stream that will be at your fingertips. So again, a lot of great content that we're going to cover off today in the short period of time we have together. So we're just going to move along. First of all, of course, we want to be able to, kind of gauge where everyone's at this point with regards to parking management. So just a quick poll that we're going to offer up over here. And here's one of two questions that we're going to ask. So here's the first question, everybody. Do you have parking enforcement as part of your security offerings today? So just a yes, no question. Take a few seconds to kind of click on your answer. We'll let the results come in. And here we go. It's fast and furious, which is great to see that the numbers are going up. And we'll give it another 10 seconds for folks to answer, and then we will share the results. I think we're pretty close to hitting the max, so there we are. Okay, awesome. So let's take a look and see where we are right now. So let's share these results with everyone. Folks, yes, 62% of the audience said yes, they do actually offer that, and the balance, 38% said no. So that's great. That's going to give us some good insight in terms of, the content that'll be interesting for you. And obviously for those that don't yet have that, I think you'll be able to benefit from this tremendously by the end of it. All right, so let us get going now. And we're going to start things off with, and I'm just going to introduce you and just kind of throw things over to Denis with a simple question. Denis, you've been in the industry for, and I'm going to say decades because it's decades, and you still look great, by the way, which is amazing. So good on you. Quick question, or simple question that I know is going to have a tremendous answer. Why parking management?
So I also own a mobile patrol security company, and my customers were always asking us to manage their parking, and we didn't have the tools to do it. We were doing it on paper. We had to get their reports, get their parking lists on paper, get into the office, or have some kind of mail or pigeon sent to us, and we would then know who's supposed to be parking and visitors parking that night, and that was always their biggest pain point, which was visitors parking. But also, managing the resident parking, also in office buildings and so on. And that was a pain point that they've expressed to us. And we were finding that, people were getting free parking, residents were parking in the visitors parking, people were parking for months on end in the visitors parking, and or finding a free spot in the monthly parking. And also they had that dreaded line every Thursday and Friday to get those coveted visitors parking spots every Thursday and Friday, and then throughout the weekend. And of course, then they would run out, and we had one of our buildings that had 45 visitors parking spots, and on Thursday and Friday they would have people in their office. So they needed to reduce FaceTime. So 14 years ago, I decided to try to come up with an electronic solution, and we invented the first parking software, which was Park and Pay. That was just for visitors parking, and we were actually charging $5 a night for parking. So that reduced the lines because it drew all the traffic off their phones from their office front desk, and it drew the traffic off of their emails. In some cases, we have an example of when we switched somebody from the traditional parking with paper and so on to bringing them on to smart parking. They got 738 phone calls. That's not including emails and walk-ins per month. We initiated this system, smart parking, and within 2 weeks, the numbers had gone down dramatically. And after the first month, we had 32 phone calls. And I checked just a couple of weeks ago, and the numbers are now down to about 11 calls a month. So that really reduced the property manager's interaction for something that was simple as just getting a visitor's parking spot. And also, took a lot of anger away from them because you can create all kinds of rules to park. And one of the pain points is that, they have to tell them, no, your guest can only park for 3 nights, or your guest can only park for 1 week. And now the system tells them, sorry, you're only allowed to park 3 nights. And that's the rule for the condominium or the HOA or for the apartment buildings. Or now we're even putting some of this into play in some of our commercial. So we took care of a lot of the really fine points that property managers were feeling every single day. We reduced their phone calls, reduced their emails, and reduced their walk-ins. I call that FaceTime. So we dramatically reduced their FaceTime. The phone's to the face, someone's in your face, or you're doing an email and that email's in your face. So that really dramatically decreased. That was a selling point right there. Our price point to security guard companies per license on this thing is very inexpensive. And the amount of hours spent answering phones and doing the FaceTime, you'll hear that word a lot from me, reduction in FaceTime, is on average, you're looking at about 3 minutes to 5 minutes a call. So you're looking at, they were spending hours and hours and hours per month on this visitors parking. And now they got all that time back in the daytime. So that's one of the low-hanging fruits that I always say is really easy to sell to a property management company. And I'm sure you guys are being asked to manage the visitors parking, and they're giving you this paper list, or they're giving you some kind of access to some kind of voicemail, and you have to write down the license plate and you do it wrong. I'm speaking from experience here. I'm a seasoned parking officer. I am a city of Ottawa where I live. I'm a parking officer because my company, we've been in the parking business for so long. We've now made a deal with our local city to actually become parking officers and heal some of their pain points where they don't have enough staff anymore, or they're trying to reduce in-house staff. So we did a public-private partnership. So this started from us managing a few visitors parking spots 14 years ago to now we're actually now even bylaw services. We're the parking wardens for the city. and I get 50-50 on the tickets. Just to give you the value on that, just a regular unauthorized parking ticket is $75, and I get 50% of that. So I'm not only the guy who made the software and runs the software and selling it to you, but I'm also my own customer. And I'll tell you, I am very hard on myself, sometimes too hard. And, we keep trying to come up with developments, and you're going to hear today from Phillip, one of our partners from out in California, who we met. It's been going to be a year, if I do believe. It'll be a year this month, I think, was the first time you reached out to us. And you're going to hear his story today about, how he met us, how he took a chance on us, how we interacted with them, and how much he contributed, because every person that comes on with smart parking is a partner. And Phillip will talk about his interaction with our programmers. You get to speak directly to programmers. You get to speak directly to the horse's mouth, as I always say. So there's a lot of things that are done differently at smart parking that a lot of other software solutions aren't doing. The biggest thing that this is going to solve, what did this solve for me to be partner with TrackTik? Well, the big thing is single login. Customers hate having multiple apps. They hate having, where I got to go look at my parking, and now I got to go look at my TrackTik, and now I'm getting 2 different emails with reports every day, and I got to go see them, and I got to now manage them differently. Well, now every morning when they get their TrackTik report, by the way, I use TrackTik in my security guard company. So I'm not also a partner, but I'm also a customer. So with all those things said, we really try to reduce the time that the property manager is spending on our everyday service. Because remember, guys, every morning, these property managers got to take a look at our reports. So now if they got to open up another software, one of us is going to suffer. Either the parking is going to suffer that day, or TrackTik isn't going to get read. So this way here, we bring it all into one. We integrate the pictures. So if you're doing citations like Phillip is doing, you can take pictures and make your own ticket, first of all, and then you can take pictures and you can add to that file. Out in California, of course, they have the right to write tickets for monetary value. So they can write their own private officer tickets, and they can collect them in the courts. And there's a whole California bill. So if someone's from out in California and you want to look at the model, myself and probably even Phillip would be more than happy to speak with you. So I think that covers some of the main pain points. But right now you're not able to, you're probably writing a paper warning with pink paper or yellow paper, so they see it in the morning. But really, what's the value in that if you can't track it? If you can't track your tickets, then you're not doing enforcement. Because if you can find out every interaction you've had with the license plate when you scan it, and we'll talk about Snap LPR and the LPR systems later that we have. If you can't track that, then the information is worthless, because you want to get because what's our job? Our job is compliance. Our job is to, make sure someone's not parking on the front lawn, which you can do with our system. You can scan a license plate and see if it's a resident within your system. And I mean, anywhere in your system, any sites, you scan a license plate with your phone for the LPR, and that will give you something that you don't have now. It's a pain point that we have. People always park on the lawn, or they park in the loading dock in the back of the building and they leave the car there all day. I want to be able to identify that resident, go knock on his door and say, could you please move your car? You're in a fire lane, you're in a loading zone, you're something. So again, we're taking care of problems within the building that the property manager doesn't have to do interaction with anymore. And we give them the tools to get there faster. So I think I covered the pain points quite a bit. I think I'm going to hand this back over to Brian and some questions.
Yeah, maybe just quickly, in terms of the impact or the threat, I think it's one of the points there to the enforcement officers themselves. I mean, what you've seen some of that, and you've basically told me previously it's like a daily occurrence, right?
Yeah, it is. So I always say if you haven't been cussed at, if you haven't been spit on, if you haven't been punched or pushed or shoved or insulted with the most creative words in the world, you've never been a parking officer. Parking officers have a very high level of injury on a regular basis. I myself, when I was in the field, I was applying the universal boot, the big yellow boot thing that goes on the wheel. And we were doing that for monetary value. So we were making the money from the booting systems ourselves. which, by the way, we wrote the software for the boot. So if anyone wants to talk about universal boot usage, I can help you with that too. So, I was applying the boot, and the guy had already paid for the ticket. Like, he paid for everything. He had to pay to get the boot released. Now I'm down on my knees getting this big 45-pound boot off of the car, and he punched me in the back of the head. Almost knocked me out. That's happened to me twice. I hate to say that. First time, shame on them. Second time, shame on me. Didn't keep my eyes open. He seemed like a really nice guy at the moment, but he was really angry about having to pay a $350 boot release. So, the officer's interaction every day. So with the ticketing, you got to get in, you got to get out. It's got to be fast. With the Snap LPR, or with our LPR system, you can snap the LPR. You got the license plate, you got the site location, you got everything done. You don't have to handwrite it anymore. And the system knows where you are, and the system knows what lot you're at, and the system knows what car you're going to tag, because you have a picture of his license plate and it's now been matched, and he's not a registered guest. So getting in and getting out is fast. So to give you an example, before I had smart parking, my average officer to write a ticket on paper would take about 3 to 5 minutes to write one ticket. Now you're probably writing 3 or 4. Now it takes less than a minute to write a parking ticket. So if you can write that parking ticket and get out of there, instead of, you're writing 3 tickets and you can get out of there in 5 minutes instead of 15 minutes, that really lowers the risk factor for the officer, and the danger factor goes down. And also then everything is in the report right away. So the officer doesn't have to sit there and write reports. As soon as he commits the ticket, that information then is all their information gathered from that ticket and from that interaction on smart parking from our enforcement officers, and is automatically loaded up to TrackTiks. So again, we reduce time on site, because I'm not writing a lengthy report on smart parking and then copying all that information over to TrackTik. So now it's a complete immersive process, and all the pictures, all the data, the officer's notes, the upfront notes, the notes describing to the person why he got the ticket, it's all there. And again, getting in, getting out is very important. It's not like a mobile patrol. We want to be there for half an hour because we're billing by the minute. With these things here, we want to get in, get the ticket. We've already made our money. Once we wrote the ticket, get out, and then let them call in, or they can go online and they can put in a dispute for the ticket online, reduces stress on your dispatch because they're having the interaction there. So, and then the property manager then knows. So when the property manager comes in the morning, there was 3 tickets written and there's an angry guy at the door, or there's a phone call or email, he can look up that night's reports. He can see all of the information. He can see the pictures that were taken of the car in conjunction to where it was. He can see that it was infracting, they weren't registered. And then he can also see through the license plate, he can also see a history of that plate. So that's amazing. That's an amazing tool every morning that property manager has at their fingertips. And it didn't require any pen to paper. It didn't require repetitive strokes, and all the information's in one spot. And that hence the partnership with TrackTik.
Awesome. No, that's great information. I think it's a great segue, because I think it's going to kind of give folks some things to think about quickly as we go to another poll question. And we're just going to share that with you right now. So here we're going to go to poll question number 2, and we're going to launch this. So do you currently have clients that could benefit from you offering parking management services? So based on some of what you just heard from Denis now, and what you'll hear from Phillip coming up very, very shortly, how would you answer this question? So we'll just give it another few seconds for folks to kind of reply. Oh, interesting. Okay, good. Good to see that they would definitely see the benefit. That's what we'd like to see, and that's what we expect to see, right? Exactly. All right, we'll give it another couple of seconds. All right, so then we'll end the poll, and this way we'll let you guys take a look and see what the response rate was. So 60% said they do, so they see the benefit. That's great. The balance, well, listening to the rest of today's webinar, I think you'll likely end up being on the I do side. So I'm not on the marriage side, but it could be marriage, of course. If you're going to move ahead with smart parking, it's naturally marriage. So let's go going here, and let's what we'll do now is going to start throwing a couple of questions around to Phillip. So Phillip, you're a TrackTik client, and now, as Denis just mentioned before, you've been with Smart Parking for a year. So question is, when did you start thinking about parking management and, as a business, or did it start off as this is going to become a business vertical for you? How did that whole ideology around parking management start on your side?
Well, for us, it was an undertaking that we had already taken on prior to even bringing on smart parking or even TrackTik. We had been using the previous software, and one of the situations was that pretty much like Denis had experienced, a lot of our clients had told us that they want us to take on their parking situation. We actually had to go ahead and turn down plenty of customers because that's all they wanted us to do. And it was just not manageable. I mean, you have a bunch of Excel files, or basically it would be pen to paper situations where they're like, oh, come pick it up from the office once a week or once a month. Either way, it was a very unreliable system. And then the way that they wanted it to track, we literally had a customer where on one of them, they wanted us to go and have an Excel sheet printed out and manually keep track of the license plates every single night. And then after, like, let's say we noticed the license plate 3 days in a row, then tow it. But the fact is that in that kind of system, they wanted us to do a check mark system. Oh, you see this license plate, check it off, then tow it. I don't understand how that's going to back you up in court in many situations. And then also how you would be able to say that responsibly you did the action that you did. And so one of the things that we were doing was trying to cite the vehicles with the paper citations, which of course is a hassle because then you have to find a way to either integrate it into a system or find a way to keep track of it and then be able to look it back up. TrackTik's been fantastic with being able to search records, but we also needed something to back us up, and that's when we started having a discussion with actually some of your reps from TrackTik, and they actually mentioned smart parking. And when they mentioned it, they said, hey, you know what, it's kind of an all-inclusive system. They're pretty open and about what they include and everything else. And they got me in contact with Denis, and then me and Denis started speaking from there. And that's kind of how we ended up getting involved in it. Was it basically not just out of necessity, but priority for our business, because overall I don't think there's a security company out there that doesn't face parking situations or having to have some kind of parking enforcement structure at one point or another.
And what kind of success have you seen from it so far? Benefits derived from since you've been using smart parking? It's seeing as it's a year now.
And we've seen quite a bit. One of the biggest driving forces has been that we've been able to actually not just document any infractions or warnings that we've been issuing out, but then we can actually search the records, show the proof, because we have multiple pictures that we took through the software. Not only that, but it's documented as to what kind of infractions they did, and it's pretty much laid out. There's no question about why the citation was issued. So it's been a great success, and management has been really receptive to it, just because of the fact that it's laid out for them both through the system and then also on their nightly or daily reports that they get.
So from an automation standpoint, removing the whole, I guess, paper-based process that's there, that's kind of, I guess, definitely expedited and facilitated the overall process as a whole, right? That your clients are seeing as well.
I think it's been great, because the other portion of it is probably a lot of the companies out there are currently using something with transfer paper, where they write a citation, it transfers onto a carbon copy, and then that carbon copy probably ends up at the bottom of their the dashboard or something at the end of the night, because it never really makes it back to home base after like a week or two. So until they go to a car wash or something like that, I don't think anybody ever sees that copy yet again. But it definitely helps. It's basically, once you do it through the system, you print it out, it's an attached citation, whichever method you decided to, and instead of having to do 3 times the work, it reduces it down to a simple fill out the boxes, take the pictures, prints out, and then you're done.
Amazing. That's always, listen, it's always great to hear whenever you can, because we know technology is a must in many areas. In some areas, it's, people can still get by, but we know that technology is definitely at the forefront of everyone's attention now, specifically obviously post-COVID, that folks are realizing that more tech is needed now, and to be able to automate what was, a very manual process before. And like you said, error prone too, in terms of never being able to see some documents because they're lost someplace. That automation just becomes key, and obviously the integration and the close relationship between the applications talking with one another, and how you can get access to that information at your fingertips whenever you need it, I'm sure has been, and as you just stated, is definitely a benefit that you've been able to see within a short period of time, really.
Oh yeah, it's been a night and day difference. I mean, you go from something that before, if we got a call or whatever else from a client asking about why this vehicle was cited, or them trying to go ahead and basically state that it was an unauthorized citation, to they're able to go ahead and actually look up the citation themselves, see what the violation was, and then see that they were in the wrong. So it cuts out a lot of the middleman and a lot of the time from our side, where we're having to go ahead and provide all these elements to them after the fact of, oh, well, here's the proof that we did it. And it's like, no, you already have the ability to do it yourself, to look it up. And then on top of that, that pretty much settles pretty much any argument right away.
Amazing. It's always great to see that, the proof is in the pudding. And like you just said, being able to provide that information on demand is the answer right there. Much appreciated. I guess kind of segueing into, something tied to that in terms of, enhancements in speed and, reducing the amount of time it takes to do a task. Denis, you touched upon earlier with regards to the, license plate recognition, right? And the snap LPR. Maybe just if you want to just kind of quickly talk a little bit about that in terms of, what it is, what it does, and obviously any kind of, the speed with which you're able to capture, and how many license plates can you actually capture in a short period of time. Maybe just a couple of minutes on that would be great as well.
So I'll start with my pain points. So why did I reinvent the wheel? A lot of people ask, why did I invent my own LPR system? Because I went to a few of the major competitors and was going to purchase them for my system and API them in, put them on my patrol cars. And the problem is they have this magic box in the trunk with this computer in it. Plus then you have to have the computer at the front. All has to be proprietary. So that means they have to sell it to you. And then they bolt the cameras on top of the car. So the problem with that is anybody who runs a mobile patrol fleet, they come to realize that I think I just got lost.
No, you're there. We heard you. You just had a great,
okay.
You just had a great Arnold Schwarzenegger pose there for a second.
Yeah,
but we heard the audio. We all good.
Okay, so here I'm back again. So, so all of these complications came up, and I'm a solutions. This is why I created parking apps 14 years ago, which we created the first online parking app 14 years ago. And this was one of the problems. I was always a hesitant buyer. I did not want to buy one because I kept hearing all the other parking companies saying, yeah, but every time the transmission goes, major work, the car's off the road for a week or two, in some cases a month with the transmission. And with supply chain today, could be more than that. So your $45,000 license plate recognition system is on top of the car, and it's in the garage with the car. And in most cases nowadays, because we're driving Honda Civics and smaller cars, because the green people are after us to drive more efficient vehicles, the LPR that it's on. So I had to take measures into my own hands. I went out and found a manufacturer for LPR cameras that fit my needs, were more standalone cameras. And I could put it all in one case. If you can see, this is actually pictures of me doing a demo. You can see at the bottom here, it's in a Pelican case. And then you can see at the top here, the case is open, and that's the two LPR cameras, those gray things inside the case mount to cars. So instead of the system being permanently installed, there's no magic box required. There's nothing. It's being run off of a standard tough top, either tablet or your existing computers in the car, because who wants to have two computers in the car? Who wants to have that cost? Who wants to have that room? You know, the way we load up our cars today, there's really not much room left in the in the cab. So we put it so you can have it on your regular service laptop or your regular service tablet. The software is running on there, and it's run through Bluetooth back to the kit. It can either be in your trunk. In this case, I was putting it in the trunk, and a lot of companies now are just putting it in the back seat and seat belting it in. They take the two cameras, they put it on top, magnets, and that's it. Your systems now, you turn on your tablet and you're up and running. When I was out with Phillip, we actually made it so that the tablet that we provided for him, it worked in his vehicle, and then he also hooked it up to a laptop. So he can now interchange the LPR system from vehicle to vehicle without even having to change the computers from the cars, because he can have multi-licenses on the tablets and run the LPR kit. So there's a lot of conveniences that I went for. So, you know, plug and play installation, you know, the cameras, they're processed inside. So we put all the processing, that secret box that they have in the trunk, that's all inside the cameras. We've really microed it down. You know, you can do a regular LPR where you're looking for people who are not registered in your parking lot. You can do shopping mall.
Oh, did we just lose Denis?
I think we might have lost Denis temporarily there.
Yeah. Well, I guess, you know what, while he's away, and he will come back, of course, your usage of the LPR, I mean, basically everything that Denis is talking about, I think it seems to be as simple to use, and it's obviously providing efficiency in terms of being able to, I guess, track, you know, license plates, and obviously those cars potentially could be, you know, infracting or are supposed to be there and providing with the reports that you need to say, yeah, these visitors are on the list, they are okay, no need to do anything there. It's
Really?
working as scheduled.
Yeah, realistically, it's pretty much a setup and go with a lot of the system that he created. The LPR system in itself is easy to set up. I would say at the longest time, maybe takes 10 minutes, if that. The shortest time that I've set it up has probably been about maybe 4 to 5 minutes. And that's from opening the box to full setup and getting in the car and going. So it's a pretty nifty system. You can get it set up. Once you go through the location, it automatically starts scanning. You can go ahead and pick the location yourself in case you're in different lots or anything else like that. And so it'll show you violators right away on the screen as you're going. And then from there, that's all. You have the option to go ahead and cite the vehicles. You're able to go ahead and just simply keep track of what license plates are being scanned at that time. So one of the major things is, for example, we have locations that may require 1 or 2 hour parking. And so for those locations, you can do a first round, scan the license plates. It'll go and actually keep it in the system. You come back an hour or two later, and they'll counting on what the requirements are. As you're doing the second pass, it'll actually do a comparison list saying, hey, this license plate has been scanned previously on the last round, so it is in violation. And at that point, you're able to go ahead and either cite or tow or whatever your requirements are for that specific location. Or you have HOAs or apartment complexes that have resident only parking. As you're going through with the LPR, it's scanning the license plate and showing all the registered plates. And anybody that is not registered, obviously it flags it and shows you directly on the screen. Yet again, you're able to take action at that point in time, whether it's towing, citing, what have you. So it actually cuts down a lot of the time because you're no longer having to go out there, take a physical list, look for the license plate, you know, in some cases, multiple pages, and then hope that you actually got the right one because it's dead center at night.
Right. So then, and I guess, yeah, Denis says he's collecting, but while you're doing that, so he's saying that like in the middle of the night, right? So from a safety perspective, right, which we kind of addressed earlier as being, you know, a pain point, and Denis kindly shared with us how he himself has been physically impacted by that. Is it offering additional safety to the mobile patrol officers?
It is, because you're able to go ahead and get in and get out. at the end of the day, efficiency and as well as the amount of time spent on a property has become more critical for any company because time is money. The more time you spend at one location, the less time you have to go somewhere else. And the less time you have to go somewhere else, the less you're able to go ahead and create a profit or be able to handle additional situations throughout the night, whether it's parking or security. I don't know, obviously with this one, it would be more parking based, but it allows you to be more efficient. So you're able to scan larger amount of areas and actually address more issues throughout the night.
Okay, awesome. Dennis, welcome back. You're okay?
I'm
Everything
back.
good? Okay, great.
No, Zoom dropped me for some reason.
Okay, no, all good. Phillip was able
Where
to
did I
kind
leave
of
off?
carry it.
Where did you guys last hear? So I can go on that with that again.
Oh no, you were talking about the mounting and just like the ease of use of the LPR, and then as you dropped off, that was kind of a great segue into Phil to just kind of validate, and he was just kind of explaining how quick it actually is in terms of a matter of minutes to really be able to get everything set up to be able to go. And then just the ease of use in terms of it identifying, it can just drive around and it picks up and automatically identifies if there is an infractive license, right? And giving you the ability to be able to obviously write an infraction if so, also those that are valid and approved. So he was just quickly explaining the process and how it works on his side, like in real life, obviously, as well as you, in terms of how it's the ease of use and how it's being used in his particular case. So kind of like exactly where you left off is kind of he was able to pick up. So, and now that you're back, anything else you want to add, or like now that you're back, we can kind of move on to a next part, or did you want to finish up on something on the LPR side?
Well, I think I skipped out before I told the price and what the price comparable was, if I do believe. So, our competitors out there, they sell the system for $45,000 to $50,000 for 2 cameras. They have the magic box in the back, and you have to take their laptop and you bolt your cameras down in your $24,000 Honda Civic. And our system goes for under $22,000, and there's no installation required. You can put it from one car. Every shift can be a different car. It's very quickly deployed, as Phillip said, minutes to put it on and get going. Just don't go 100 miles an hour down the highway, right, Phillip? The magnets are
experience.
Yeah, I think we might need to upgrade magnets if you're trying to go that fast.
Yeah, well, he's the first customer. I said, try and keep it under 100 miles an hour. And he goes, oh, okay, I'll have to take it off when I'm going on the highway. So because the cameras are about 3.5, 4 pounds, depending on what kind of magnet we use on it. And the magnets are rated for 100 pounds at 100 miles an hour. So you can go pretty fast. If you are going to go faster than that, you just quickly dismount them from the magnets off the top of your car, the back of your trunk, put them in your car in the trunk or in the back seat, and you're off and running until you slow down. Please don't go 100 miles an hour in the parking lots.
If you do, either Phillip or Denis are going to give you a ticket there, so watch out.
Absolutely. So that's just about it. That was the only thing that I wanted to just close off, is the cost difference.
Yeah.
And what we've done with it. We invented our own for us, and now we're sharing it with the security world.
Awesome. So we're moving now from cost into revenue generation, right? So maybe you can kind of talk a little bit about that in terms of, how is this going to assist, and how can people take a look at this as actually a growth service for them from a profitable revenue standpoint?
So I'm going to start off where I started. So I started with 2 co-op housings, which are geared to income housing projects. They both had about 50 properties together, the 2 of them. And they actually, one of the things that my market rate customers, rental properties, always challenge me saying, who's going to pay $5 a night to do visitors parking? So I actually went to geared to income housing first, and I ran the model there, and we got $5 a night for parking, and we had no pushback whatsoever, because it becomes a pay-per-use fee. So we started making money off of visitors parking spots, but you can do it for free also. And so the revenue stream here is that we charge you $89 a license per site. You can have as many lots inside that site as you want, because some HOAs are pretty big and they have a parking 3 spots here and 4 spots there. You want to be able to number them and identify them so people can park the closest to the person they're visiting. So you can monetize that, but we charge you $89. We charge you $89. We tell you, if you just want to sell the license, $129 is the suggested retail price. And then what I do, And that what I encourage all my partners do. And we provide you with all the brochures, marketing materials, and sales stuff that's worked for us and worked for our partners. So we do a $5.99 a month package, and we do 16 patrols for that. So if you once you slice out our $89, you're making about $22 a patrol. It's less than a 5-minute patrol to do a visitor's parking. So everyone here is doing courtesy patrols, mobile patrols, 5 minutes, and you're getting $22 for the 5 minutes, especially if it's right beside one of your other mobile sites that you're getting premium dollar for. It's a nice filler, it's a nice add-on, and a lot of times it's a segue into more business, because then they're going to call you if they need a guard for an event, they need a guard for something because they've been break-ins, if they need additional services, additional mobile patrols besides just the parking patrol. And the value add to the customer is if they're just taking the parking, saying, look, you're having a marked vehicle with a guy in a uniform driving through your property throughout the night, and taking a look at your parking. And the bad guys don't know if you're there to do parking or if you're there to do security. So you are a good visual deterrent, and it's for a relatively good price, $5.99 a month for 16 patrols. Generally, what I do is I rotate mine Wednesday to Saturday, and then I rotate the next round. I do Thursday to Sunday. And I do one patrol after midnight to go and check the registrations to make sure they're there. And then the customer will go, well, what about my daytime? No problem. I can add another patrol, $22. Or you can say daytime parking patrols are a premium, which I do that to some of my customers, especially when they're out in the fringe of my patrol zones. I say, hey, look, I'm going to charge you $32. And most of them say, sure, because it's going to solve a problem for them. Because parking is a premium almost everywhere, especially with infill now in cities. Parking's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. There's not as many paid parking lots anymore, so people are trying to sneak in. And of course, parking is something everybody hates but needs. So parking is a premium, and so we go out and get that where we can get parking tickets off of it. If we can write our citations and collect the money ourselves, that's fantastic revenue. If you're doing the visitors, or you're managing even their monthly parking, or for a super mall, a big box store mall, you can charge them to manage their parking. So we have a version inside of Smart Parking to manage a big box store area. So if you have 30 stores, you don't want to have, one store has 20 people parking in the parking lot. That takes up a lot of space. Also, they try to park close to the parking lot. So here's another opportunity for you to add more patrols with the LPR system, where you can go out and make sure the staff are all registered. And if they're not registered and they're there for more than that minimum time, let's say 3 hours, the 4th hour you go back, you can write them a ticket. And then you sort them out real quickly, because a lot of staff are too lazy to go on the app and register, or the managers are too lazy to go on. But the mall management themselves want you to get on, wants them to be registered, and they only want to give out so many parking spots. And they don't want the 20 staff parking in the 20 premium at the front of the store's parking spots. So they can designate a lot number for staff to park in the back. And when you're doing your scans and you identify that lot, all the staff that are parked there are safe and sound. But if you go up towards the front of the building, they're not registered to park in those parking lot, in that lot number. So what happens is you catch them on the LPR and you write them a ticket. And then they quickly go to their manager and say, why do I have a ticket? The manager goes, oh, I forgot to register you, or they forgot to register, they were in a rush, whatever. But then you sorted them out and you set a message clear. What are we all about? We're about compliance. So if we get compliance from all the stores, it makes the property a better property for customers coming in, so they can get the premium spots right in front of the store so they can walk in. Some customers, especially the elderly, if they got to go 20, 30 spots back, they'll circle around, go to another store. They'll drive away. So you're going to give them, so this is the low-hanging fruit. Again, go to every shopping mall that's beside a major bus area, major transit area, major college or university. You're going to have people parking on that property that don't belong there. Also, you're going to have the staff, you want to push them away. So there's multiple reasons why a big box store, big shopping mall would go with your services, because they're going to be able to better manage their parking for their customers and bring more customers in, and keep all those pesky park and ride people off your property, because they don't want to pay the premium parking downtown. They come, they get onto a major bus route, it's right in the shopping mall, park their car, go downtown. They have free parking every day, because they're going to work 5 days a week. So these are all the pain points that people have that turns into revenue and turns into a good relationship with a client. And if you get a big box store and you're managing their parking, your telephone number's at the top of the list. It's easy to find. It's on posters in every store. It's on everywhere. So if they need a security guard, they may just say, hey, I'm going to call these guys because they're always here. I need someone to come in and check on my staff to do work alone problems. Or if there's one staff member in the store and they need someone to come in and check up on them, you can sell that service to them. So it just multiplies. And these are all services I already have. So I'm just speaking about what I've had success with and what I've been able to turn into a revenue stream and a constant revenue stream.
So let's move into, you mentioned, talking about the clients and providing, additional services to them and making them happy, right? And making them stickier. Let's briefly talk about that for another couple of minutes, and then we'll open things up for Q&A. There's some questions that are there. So if you want to just kind of touch upon that satisfaction point and employee retention, like we were talking about safety before, right?
So yeah, even like reduced churn, that's one of the things that, so I have a major, one of the guests here, one of the guests was supposed to be here today. He belongs to the company that walked into my door and said, I need your software. And I go, why? And it was very honest. He said, because I can't steal your customers. He goes, you've had these customers for 15, 20 years. He said, they won't leave you. I go, because of my parking management system, plus the security patrols, plus guard services, plus concierge services. But our rule always was, if you cancel all of our other services and you use another guard company, we cancel the parking service. No one ever left us. I have 300, in my city, I have 338 condominium and apartment buildings alone that use our services. We started doing software 14 years ago. Out of all of our customers, we've lost 4 customers in 14 years. And that means they kept our security services. They kept calling us for guard services, kept calling us for mobile patrol and all the other verticals that we need to do. And this parking just adds another vertical that makes you more unique than everyone else. So that means the customer is stickier to you, as the term here in the slides, and they don't go away. It's a beautiful thing. My average customer has been with me because of all the value added services. My average customer has been with me for 18 years. Very unusual in any, even the security industry or the parking industry. So if there's good long-term value, makes the customer sticky to you because you have a service that someone else doesn't have, and reduces customer churn because you're solving a lot of their problems and you're a one-stop shop. That nice vertical, you're getting all of these services plus parking, and you're reducing face time, you're solving problems for them, and you're becoming a better provider and a better partner in the long run. And everyone wants their customers to be a partner first before a customer. So, safeguarding employees, as I said, minimize time on site. If you're writing parking tickets, you want to get the heck in, get the heck out. You don't want to punch in the back of the head. I'm speaking from experience. So, enable employees to catch more infractions. Like Phillip said, it's all about data. Your customer is going to come to you at the end of the day and say, give me some metrics. Tell me how many burnt lights you found. Tell me how many door closures were broken. Tell me how many incidents of graffiti, how many loitering, how many illegal parkers, how many fire lane infractions, how many handicap infractions. These are all reports that you can get. Some you can get from Smart Parking, and a lot of them, as you know, with our self-built forms and TrackTik, you can build all your own forms and make your own metrics. And your customer, every year, they always go, so can you give me some data? Can you give me some data? And now, since we've been using TrackTiks ourselves, now I got TrackTiks, I got Smart Parking. I'm able to go, okay, how many vagrants have we removed from this thing? How many codes did we get of that? How many codes did we get of loitering? How many codes did we get of graffiti? And I'm able to give the customer a chart saying, this is last year, this is this year, and we're hoping to be here this year. And they're able to very quickly just take all those things into account.
Awesome. And I think I kind of skipped through There's a couple
Yeah.
of slides I went through. Technical difficulties, folks, just with the slides. But one of the other slides that we were addressing was right after Denis finished was around BOMA, which is property management show. So both TrackTik and Smart Parking are going to be attending there together at the event the end of June. I think it's the 25th to the 27th, Denis, if I'm not mistaken, in Nashville. So if anybody happens to be going, definitely stop by the booths. If you were thinking about it, now that you've heard some interesting, information around TrackTik and Smart Parking together and the benefits, obviously, from a parking management standpoint, listening to Phillip as well as Denis, giving their stories, then, obviously feel free to stop by if you're going to be in the neighborhood or if you want to take a look and see what the show is all about as well. And now, we have got a few minutes left, so we want to be able to address some of the questions that have come through. And I think, we'll kind of go through this. So somebody is asking, what is the law bill number for paying tickets legal for collection?
If you want, I can share that information with you offline. So it's an act. It's a California State Legislature act that gives you the right, and Smart Parking enforcement app was actually governed and written around that law. And I can tell you all the points of how all the check marks that Smart Parking answers and TrackTik answers with that bill. And that will give you some insight into how you have to write your tickets, information you need to have, like Phillip said, taking pictures. You got to take 4 pictures. You got to have, you have to have information on it. Especially if you escalate it to towing, you have to have so many tickets before you get to towing, so on and so on. So there's a lot of checklists there, a lot of things to talk about. It's not just which bill it is. There's a lot of things to talk about. So if you wish, I believe our information is going to be shared afterwards. Please send me an offline question. I'll be happy to send you the California state rule and also walk you through how we help with that. We've even got everything right down to the court says your first hearing system where people can go online, put in their dispute. Someone from your company then can review the information based on what their information was. They have the ticket pictures at their fingertips and they're able to reduce tickets, cancel tickets. California, the Poverty Act, you have to be able to give them up to 4 to 6 payment options where they can have 6 payments. The system takes care of all the payment options. All you gotta do is sign up, put a payment method in there, credit card, and we'll take, I've gone up to 10 payments on a ticket. So that, that came out to $5 a month. So and they were able to pay the ticket off and we were able to comply to all the rules in California. And there's a lot of other states now that have the same kind of rules, especially if you get involved in your state's scofflaw process. They're very friendly to you and they will help you be successful in writing your own parking tickets and enforcing them.
Awesome. Thanks, Denis. Yep. So we'll connect you offline so you guys can provide all the information needed there. 2 more questions and we got a couple of minutes left. So just want to make sure we can do these. How is Smart Parking different and better than Parking Boss that property management seems to use and we have to get them to switch?
So the enforcement app, we have our tools are a full enforcement app. Plus we comply with all the California laws, which they don't. They also are 4 or 5 times more expensive than we are with less than half the features. They don't have their own LPR and they do not have a Snap LPR connected to their enforcement app. Snap LPR is, we have put a full LPR inside of a camera. So your officers can walk down a row and they can scan all of the license plates and it'll tell them if they're valid or invalid. So those are some of the quick points that are there. And we'd be happy if you've had a demo with your clients with Parking Boss. I invite you to contact us. We'd be more than happy to do a demonstration to your clients and show them the value add from Smart Parking and the cost reductions that they can have.
And coincidentally, Denis, you just actually answered, which was the last question. Somebody was asking about mobile LPR for smaller clients. So I think you just kind of hit that with 2 birds with 1 proverbial stone. So that was awesome. So definitely we'll be able to get you more information. We'll be able to get you connected with Denis to be able to provide you with some specifics. And like Denis said, if you haven't had a demo yet, they are definitely a great partner to work with in terms of being super responsive and providing the demos as needed and any kind of information to your particular selves and customers as needed. So super happy to make the connection. And that was a great answer to the, like I said, to the final question that we had. And let's see, I think we have maybe one more that came thing. Are you able to do, and I think the answer is going to be yes, but Denis, you're able to do remote demos even for folks that are over in the Middle East or Europe, correct?
Anywhere. So for example, Phillip's out in California, I'm in Canada. He reached out to me. We onboarded his first few clients with him. He's very proficient in technology, so he's a quick learner. But we've had some clients where they've been with us for quite a while, and we still do their demos for them to their customers. So we come in and we work with you hand in hand. We provide all the back end stuff. We handle we give you all the brochures, all the marketing stuff. We brand it with your logos, your addresses on it. You give us pictures of your patrol cars and your officers. We'll include those pictures in the marketing materials. So we give you, and this is where we differ a little bit more from the Parking Boss, just to touch on that, is that we're a very hands-on organization. Phillip can attest to this. He has an intimate relationship with our software developers, and he's come up with a lot of great ideas and a lot of tweaks of our software. Phillip, what is the average time once you come up with a new solution? Does the guys turn it around and give it to you?
Usually a couple days, actually. Some of the smaller implementations that I needed or changes, specifically for our model, were done the next day in some cases, and which is actually obviously quite dramatic of a reaction, because you're used to, okay, it'll be down the pipeline and we'll get to it when we get to it. And then months down the road, it's like, hey guys, oh yeah, it's on the back burner. And with your team, it's been pretty receptive. Hey, can we make this tweak, or can we make this change? Yeah. Counting on what time we're hitting them up. I've had a request that came in one night, I think, that we did at 8:00 at night, and one of your developers was up and they saw it and they're like, yeah, we'll activate it tomorrow morning. Next thing I know, I got a message at 11:00 in the morning the next day. Hey, it's active and live. Let us know if it's working correctly. And they were able to provide that feedback. I was able to let them know, hey, it is working correctly, so on and so forth. And honestly, it's been pretty astounding, though, with their reception of a lot of the ideas and everything else. And I think one of the things that's making it so successful is that they're not closed-minded to making the changes. A lot of the things that they see as a benefit, and they're actually, I think some of the input they've actually worked as to spreading it or even implementing it across a lot of your other customers.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing, which is great, and it's definitely appreciated. So global reach, able to provide you with assistance wherever necessary, the appropriate marketing content and documents to help you get started and on your journey as quickly as possible to get moving onto this great new vertical, or for some existing vertical that you're already working with, but ways to be able to enhance that as best as possible. So that is awesome.
Oh, one of the other things was
go ahead.
Kind of addressing the question earlier about Parking Boss. What's one of the major differences between that and smart parking? Profitability, to be honest with you. And the Parking Boss is a system where they pretty much take the profit, but they have you do the work. While with smart parking, you're able to implement it and then kind of reap the benefits yourself as a company. So I think that's not something that's really been hammered through, but I did want to mention it because it is a big difference night and day when it comes to that.
Like I said, the $599 package, that's how much Parking Boss costs, is $495. And then you have to add your patrol fees on top of that and your profit. Smart parking, $89 to our partners. And we do all the work with you. We hold your hand through the whole process. We're married to you and we're here for you. Thanks, Brian.
Appreciate it. Oh, no, great. And thanks for throwing that in there, Phillip. That was great. Like I said, this is the information we were hoping to be able to share with everybody who's participating today, so they get a better understanding in terms of what is actually available and what the potential is like. And I'm great that that question came up around the competition. So you're really able to see the absolute value that Denis and team is being able to provide and offers, and real life, experience with that with Phillip in terms of actually stating that fact, that it is in fact true. So we appreciate the partnership with both you and with Phillip as well, obviously, in terms of from the TrackTik side. So we thank you both for attending and for your participation and attendance. Denis and Phillip, thanks so much for all the great content and great information and insight into parking management. That's been great. And thank you to all the attendees today from wherever you are, all parts of the world. We appreciate you joining with us today, and hopefully this was an informative session for you folks. And again, like we mentioned, this content will be made available to you in a follow-up email, as well as on our websites once we get the recording processed. And we look forward to working with you. If you have any questions, the information to be able to contact us was made available on the previous slide. You can reach out to us and or Denis at Smart Parking. We'll be glad to be able to help you out with any questions you have. And again, thanks everyone. Have an amazing day, and we'll catch you next time. Take care, and bye-bye.